It was an animal attack, spin-off episode selected.
You're frozen at 17, and it's not like you're like, oh, my withered aging self and the hot young nanny.
You know, as most decrepit mothers with 3-year-olds would have to contend with, I guess.
I mean, that's how the stories will treat them.
Oh, yeah.
There's this episode of The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Insane pull, I know, but stay with me.
I always do.
In universe, there's a TV show that Grimm loves. They never delve into what the show is about, but the host of the show is this woman named Atrosha, who he has a big crush on.
Okay.
And one episode starts with her making an announcement at the end of her TV show saying, "Guys, I have bad news. Ever since I turned 30, and no one wants to watch an old bag like me anymore, they're canceling the show."
Oh, that's hilarious.
And I'm like, literally Hollywood.
Have you seen The Substances yet?
The Substances? The Substance?
Yes, The Substance.
I was now thinking, is there a sequel that I missed?
To Substance.
Yes, I've seen The Substance.
Yeah, essentially that. Watching Demi Moore at 60 playing 50 with ease because she's so stunning, and then having to sort of suspend your disbelief with the story going, look at this haggard old woman. But also at the same time, it's like, that's the whole gag of it, because that's how Hollywood is. Demi Moore is objectively stunning. However, that is when Hollywood decides you are no longer fertile or pretty enough to be on our screens.
The way we could have gotten a Charlie's Angels 3 with the original cast if they had been men.
Because frankly, all the like agent stuff that you see that is led by men, which is the majority of it, is men in their 40s and 50s. There are no young James Bonds. There are no young, what is it? Kingsman, the main protagonist, is like 12. But like, that movie is about Colin Firth.
All right.
That movie is about Colin Firth being an agent who is in his 50s. So it's like, double standard much? I mean, we're stating the obvious.
And even stuff that maybe originally the franchise had like 30-year-olds. In this, the era of reboots and revivals, it's like, let's bring this actor pushing 60 back to do this long-awaited film. It's like, but you would never do that for Cameron D and Lucy Liu and my girl Drew.
My girl Drew, scab though she may be, she lives in my heart. And I would happily watch their reunion. Did you see they reunited on Zoom or something? They had like a video call together where they reunited, and that was cute.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I'll send it to you later, all 4 of them. Or you can look it up, I don't know.
I remember there was either an interview or some question thing that Paul Wesley had answered, because the fans are like, how come we don't get shirtless scenes from you anymore at a certain point? And he was like, the thing about those is like, I was going to gym a lot more back then, and then I stopped, so it was like, I don't really feel like it. And I'm like, how dare you deprive us of shirtless scenes just because you assume we need to see a six-pack that's like MCU sculpted?
I assure you, I don't. In fact, in a lot of scenarios, I prefer not to. So, but it's the CW, so. What was that? Was it Jesse Metcalfe? There was a picture of Jesse Metcalfe that went around recently.
Oh, yes, from Desperate Housewives.
From Desperate Housewives, yeah.
People were like, it's crazy that this was like...
This was the peak.
Hottie standard back then.
Right.
It was like, oh, look at this perfect male body. And now it's like, nowadays they'd be like,
he's fine.
He's not toned enough.
He's not dehydrated enough for me to feel like he's sexy. It's like, what? Tom Welling too will trend every now and then, and it's like Tom Welling, who's pretty cut, not a single abdominal throughout like Smallville, and it's like he's one of the hottest early 2000s CW/WB
I think
guys.
in the earlier seasons he was more cut, probably because like he was still in his 20s back then, like the one where they're always like, this is supposed to be a 14 to 15-year-old child. Because in season 1, he was like 25.
Chow, that's bold. I guess he's kind of baby-faced. You could sell it. But no, that was a full-grown man.
Yeah.
He was already in Cheaper by the Dozen.
By the standards, in Cheaper by the Dozen, he was also playing like a 17-year-old.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. To then like go and play Smallville younger is interesting.
I guess by the standards of the time, it was like anybody who was playing a teenager regularly on a show would have been well into their 20s. And also Superman is always like he's super muscular and tall and imposing figure. So I was like, it's fine, we'll cast this 6'2" 25-year-old to play a grade 9.
And it really becomes like, God, how is that guy a loser in high school?
Oh, but that's always the case. That's always the case with TV.
But it really depends on how the actor can sell it, because I do think a couple of the Superman actors sell it very well.
Clark is less a loser and more like in the Buffy space, where it's like you're not popular because you're weird enough that the popular crowd doesn't really vibe with you, but like you're not being bullied by every person that walks by you. Like he's not Peter Parker.
Because who would try it with you, frankly? Same as Buffy. Smallville Clark specifically, that is.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Smallville Clark.
Okay. I think of Christopher Reeve, who's also like 6 foot something, and like he's not like large, but he's very broad. His shoulders when he's Clark Kent are very clearly, it's just like, that is a large man. But there's something about his posture and his facial expression and his demeanor that's just like, oh, it's very clear why everyone's like, no, Clark Kent, that awkward bumble. It's like, he really sells it. I think Brandon Routh sells it very well also.
Oh, yeah.
Tyler Hoechlin, it takes a slightly different route, because Tyler Hoechlin's playing a Superman who is like almost like a middle-aged Superman who is married with kids.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different dynamic. Then there's of course Henry Cavill, which
we shall not speak.
You know, what are you gonna do? Have you seen Doctor Who, Fadzai?
I haven't seen Doctor Who, no. I probably will now because you know.
Ncuti Gatwa, of course, yes. In Doctor Who, the conceit is that there is this character, the Doctor, who reincarnates, and so they have different actors play him over time.
Yes.
And so in the soft reboot they did in like 2005? Is that when Doctor Who new started? Anyway, it was Christopher Eccleston, who only played 1 season because he found the director to be insufferable and the working conditions were bad. So he left. Because Christopher Eccleston is not
high
one
up
to...
in the...
So that's the
acting
thing.
food chain that you can walk away from things and be like, ugh, this is not working for me.
That's the thing about Christopher Eccleston. Universally acclaimed as a great actor, wasn't doing anything huge at the time. He just is that kind of guy. He's not the type to grin and bear it. He would call out shit that was happening as the number one on the call sheet, but also just as the guy that he is. And then when nothing changed, he was just like, all right, okay, I'm out. But anyway, this is not about the Doctor. The Doctor often has a companion, and the companion at the time was Rose Tyler, who is lauded as this like ideal best companion in like Doctor Who mythos and lore by the story and by the fandom. And so David Tennant Doctor Who shows up, who is a new incarnation but has all the memories of the past life. So he's still, there's also an implication that there was a romantic love between the Doctor and Rose Tyler. So he's all hung up on Rose, who dies at some point in the first 3 seasons. And then Martha Jones comes along, played by Freema Agyeman, who you might know as... Shit, who does she play that you'd have seen? Have you seen New Amsterdam?
No.
She's one of the leads in New Amsterdam. Let me look her up. I always confuse her with Macy Richardson Sellers, who played...
Yeah.
You know her, yes. Legends of Tomorrow.
And Ava Sinclair in the TVD.
Ava Sinclair. Oh, Sense8. You've seen Sense8?
Yes. Oh, yes, she does look like Maisie. I know exactly who you mean now. She looks... I also, when I first started watching that, I was like, you're not Maisie, right? Because I can see some differences, but you look enough like Maisie that if you told me you were Maisie, I'd be like, oh, I was wrong.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, I haven't seen you in 10 years. Okay, you look a bit different. Yeah. So she's Martha Jones. And she is a brilliant character. But the thing about her is that, like, she doesn't take shit from the Doctor. She will often be like, you have this energy of just like grabbing me and like running along and expecting I'll just go, but it's like you do some insane shit. And also we often end up in time periods where I can't just run around like you can as a white man. As a black
they
woman,
address that?
They do address that a bit. They end up in Shakespeare time and she has to deal with a number of people addressing her blackness. And there's a time period in like Victorian England where she has to be like an enslaved woman working for this aristocratic white family. It's bad. And she calls it out. And the thing about that is that the whole vibe is that Martha as a character is this placeholder for the Doctor, for Rose, who would very often like leap into adventures with him. Rose was very gung-ho to just like, because her life was boring and she didn't have anything to get back to. She was just like, I want more excitement. There was this sense that for the Doctor, he was trying to like, when he got a new companion, he would be frustrated that she wasn't this neat replacement for Rose. But also the story in that time would place a lot of weight on Martha's shoulders for not being that neat replacement. She was like a doctor, back in her time, like an actual doctor. That's the joke when they meet, is that like he's a doctor, but she's like an actual doctor. But she's like, I've got a life to get back to. I've got parents. I've got a sister. Like this is all great, time travel, whatever. But it's like, you're a bit insane. And at the end of the season, because she only lasts one season, she decides, no, I'm not carrying on with you. There's an energy within the fandom too, that like they did not treat Martha or in fact Freema Agyeman very well during her run as the Doctor's companion. There was a lot of racism. There was a lot of just like bullshit that she had to endure as a character.
Oh. I'm on record on this podcast as saying many times that the relationship is handled very nicely. It's a beautiful slow burn. I can't sit here and claim that it was badly written or shoehorned in very clumsily. It's not giving... It's not giving Legend of Korra, that final scene where you're like, wait, was that supposed to be these two being together? Wait, was this a love story between them this season? That's not what it looked like to me.
So we're trying to get us assassinated at this point. All right, that's fine. That's okay. I've made my affairs. I've handled them.
The deed to your property, it's going to be in someone else's name.
Has been signed over. Nobody's getting in here.
Which, for the record, not to say I don't support Korrasami, I'm just like, that's a love story. I was like, oh, I didn't...
I'm always rearing to support lesbians. I just need to be made clear that there are lesbians to support.
Like it felt like it came out of nowhere, and I was like, oh, now I need to go back and look and see if I was somehow missing very obvious things, which I don't feel like I was.
Which I did, and I don't think I was.
Yeah. Whereas with Steroline, I'm like, no, I could see it happening. I didn't want it to happen, but it was done very well.
Okay.
Imagine the Korrasami thing is what gets us killed.
Right? None of the Caroline shit that we said earlier. Korrasami stands come and kill us in our sleep. I know they're gay in the comics. Good for them. I'm not reading a goddamn comic to then confirm something within a show. I understand they were censored. I get it. It's just, no, thank you.
It's always these men with the green eyes.
You can't trust them. What are they doing? Don't trust a single thing they say. Kendrick Sampson, beautiful, beautiful man. Loved him in a season of The Flash where he plays a character, but then has to play the main villain possessing his body, which I thought he captured quite well.
Oh, wow. Oh, was that with the South Africans?
Yes, our South African icon. Marlies. What was the actual guy's name? I only remember his wife because that's Kim Engelbrecht.
I always forget. I just know he was DeVoe, and I was like, I feel like in South Africa that would not be called. That would not be how we pronounce that. That man's name is DeFoo.
Was it Henry DeVoe? Harold DeVoe? It might have been Harold.
Completely forgotten.
But his supervillain name is the Thinker, and his wife was like this. I think she also might have a character, like a Tinkerer type character. She wore this long white coat when she was in her evil form. It was really cool. I loved it.
I loved how she went out of her way to be like, I'm not a henchwoman.
I am my own person.
At one point she was like, I am and always have been my husband's equal. And I was like, okay, yes, girl.
Okay,
I love evil
girl
couples.
boss villain. I love to see it. Love Kim Engelbrecht. Since the days of Loli in Istingo. Is that what she was on? Yes.
I never really watched that show, as we've said. I knew her, I think I mentioned, from A Boy Named Twist, which was a South African retelling of Oliver Twist. She plays Nancy. Should not have been watching that film at the age of 8. It was very traumatic watching her get beaten to death. Yeah. Mostly off screen, but still, I was like, what? I didn't, because I'd never read Oliver Twist. And she was so sweet. Oh, it was so sad. Oh, but also the actor, Jesse's actor, I know him from How to Get Away with Murder as well. He's in a season of that show.
Okay. Maybe I'm forgetting.
No spoiler for you because I think you still intend to watch that show at some point.
It's later on. Okay, that makes sense.
You know what it is? Your least favorite thing. It's Saltburn, and in the end, Matt
it's Saltburn, but better because Matt's actually poor. So, actually...
And Matt ends up owning all of the founding family's home.
As he should. That is my biggest issue with Saltburn, is that the guy's not poor. The movie says he was pretending the whole time. So why should I root for him? He sucks. Don't make me defend rich people. Emerald Fennel. God, that movie. It really is just like, actually not even middle class. He's upper middle class. His family takes trips to Mykonos on the yearly. And I'm supposed to act like this makes sense anymore?
I mean, I don't know if you need to root for him by the end when it's revealed. He's clearly being a pretty shit person.
That's my point then. It's like, what is the thesis of this movie? This guy was just a shit who wanted to acquire status and power and wins in the end and then dances over the graves of the people he's killed. All right.
It'd be like that in real life sometimes.
Absolutely, but it's like you spent the first hour of this movie making me feel sad for this guy, so I don't know what we're doing. I don't know, whatever. And then she's like, here's my pink bike from when I was 5 years old and being played by McKenna Grace. Isn't this cute?
Sabrina!
I love how McKenna Grace for a period of time was playing every blonde girlie's younger version, because she's also Captain Marvel's younger version.
She is.
Ah, Slay McKenna. Oh no, actually she's in Scream 7, which is like, oh god, but you know.
They really went through the Gen Z Hollywood book and they were like, who can we get for this film?
They also pulled in Anna Camp, which really disappoints me. She's the blonde one from Pitch Perfect. What's her name?
Aubrey?
The one who throws up in the... Aubrey, yes, Aubrey from Pitch Perfect. She was also in the Mini Project in the first season.
I haven't seen her in a while. I saw her in True Blood, but that's because I was like binging, something as old as True Blood.
She was in True Blood. I love her vibe. It's a shame. I recently saw and was reminded that the actress who plays Nora is Pansy Parkinson from the later Harry Potter movies.
What?
Yes, she's the one in that last movie when Voldemort is like, Harry Potter, come to me in 1 hour. And Pansy's like, what are you waiting for? Snatch him. That's Nora Hildegard.
Either I have not watched that final film in a long time. I'd completely forgotten that scene was even in the film. I know it's in the books. I'd forgotten that they even bothered to put it in the film. Also, I would not remember Pansy's face. She's probably a glorified extra until the 6th film.
There's no reason for you to remember and then link her together with this character. None at all.
I mean, good for you. Second Hogwarts wizard to become a vampire, I guess.
Oh, that explains why she's not with Draco at the end. I'd forgotten what happens in the book, but based on how much they'd set her up, I would have thought... They'd set her up connected to Draco. I would have thought that she would be in that 19 years later. But then I can't remember who is the girlie who Draco ends up marrying.
Some rando who had never been mentioned before.
Okay.
Which points for realism because everybody else ends up with their high school sweethearts. And it's like, really?
Right.
But that was mainly because the author, who we shall not name, had based Pansy on a person she loathed from real life. And she was like, even in this fantasy world, she doesn't get to be happy and end up with the boy she loves.
God.
That's literally what she said.
That's so Stephanie Meyer and how she treats every blonde character in her story because she loathed this blonde girl when she was young. I need these people to heal because it's giving such loser behavior. They're so wildly famous and rich now, and that's the shit you're pulling?
Gosh, I'll always remember Edward telling Bella that, our cousins, the Denali Coven, they tried to set one of them up with me, Tanya, and Bella's like, and didn't work out, and he's like, no, she was blonde, not my type. That was all he really had to say, and I was like, oh, wow. Stephanie!
It's embarrassing, honestly. Oh, you've suffered so much because you have brown hair. Everybody hated the girl with brown hair.
Maybe they got a bit confused, and the spirit of Brooke Meredith, who does get involved with Alaric in their college years, it flowed through TV show Caroline.
Yeah, and now I'm thinking about Cordelia and Wesley Wyndham Price, which is just like equally as gross to me, but whatever. But then also, like, that actress, as I later found out, was a bit older than the others. So it was, like, kind of crazy they had her being a high schooler to begin with.
Yeah.
So when she goes over to the other show, I don't think they're romantically involved, at least up until the point I've watched in Angel. So, it's strange that now that she's, like, fully an adult, they don't... I don't know, whatever.
I think honestly, it's because they had that awkward kiss at the end of season 3, and they were like, oh, no, we have no... actual physical chemistry now that we've done this. Yeah, never mind. Bye.
Okay, cool. Still a pedo moment, I maintain. But, yeah. Yeah.
It's wild that it's Giles who says to him, "Oh, for heaven's sake, she's 18. Just
Insane.
Go ask her out if you want to." And I'm like,
Giles,
Giles,
that's an insane
you're
thing
a
to
high
say.
school teacher.
These are your students.
I don't know how old Wesley is meant to be in universe. Like, maybe he's meant to be a young, early 20s watcher.
Absolutely not. That is a 30-year-old man.
I assume he's meant, because he's like this like clumsy, awkward, young, eager, inexperienced watcher. Maybe he was meant to be
because he's
like,
British and dumb.
For my peace of mind, I'm going to say this 90s show was like, oh, he's 22. It's fine.
22! Oh, no.
Hey. This is a show where, these people were all like 17, 18. Look at the season 3 cast. I'm like, these people are not teens.
God, that's wild. No offense to that actor, but that actor has the face of a grown man. I'm sorry.
He does. I saw him in
Maybe it's the
private
glasses.
practice in an insane storyline where he had 2 wives who didn't know about each other.
Fun. Big love.
And I was like, is that legal? Are you legally married to both of them? I don't know how that works in the States.
Sometimes in the States, there are laws that apply by state and not,
these people were in California, so I guess whatever the California law is.
Probably not in California, but I'm not familiar with the statutes of California. You could do that here, because we have the Cultural Marriages Act that respects that some cultures in this country are polygamist, so... Yeah, you could do it.
Oh, no, well, he was lying to them, I should add. This wasn't just like
fair.
Open bigamy. Like, no, he had 2 wives that didn't know about each other.
You're cheating on 2 people.
They were both pregnant and insanely winded up at the same obstetrician's, is that what it is? I think. Private practice, and it was like, what? How are you planning to get away with this?
That's the thing, men like these are really stupid about how they do this. Very few are like, I'm in a different state with this other family, but usually those are people whose jobs allows them to travel, and that's how they do it. A lot of men are quite dumb and will have 2 families in the same town, and it's like, huh? How did you think this was going to end?
Wild.
Baffling. I was also stunned to learn that he was not British, because he does a pretty good British accent.
This character he was playing was again British, and I was like,
what?
Do you just like this accent?
Just a British man in LA with 2 wives. All right, buddy. Maybe they were trying to scoop up the Buffy crowd. I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyways, he gets a bunch of hospital doctors working around the clock trying to do a C-section now to remove these babies that are hurting her. And honestly, the Twilight... We will never escape the Twilight energy, right? Because this is very much Renesmee killing Bella from the inside because she's a human with a Dhampir baby.
Worse still that these babies have access to magic as well. So,
right.
Even during the C-section...
Renesmee does too, if you look at it.
I guess. Renesmee has her, her outgoing telepathy.
Right. Exactly.
She can project thoughts.
That's a great way to put it.
No, but she doesn't have that yet when she's in the womb. It's just Edward just reading her mind.
Yes.
She doesn't really have powers yet.
It's just Edward reading her mind. But I guess, in a way, how does that interact with Bella's shield?
Bella's shield is over her own brain and not over her entire body.
Okay.
Yeah. And Renesmee, with her own power, has to touch people to project her thoughts. She's like the inverse of Aro.
Oh, and she puts a little hand on Aro's face. I always thought that was so cute, even though Aro was like...
Aro's like, let me take the information I want. And she's like, no, let me give you the information you want.
Let me give it freely. I'm 5, but I have an ancient mind. Ugh. Bizarre.
Gosh. Supernatural Family Court. I would watch that show.
I mean, that's the conceit of She-Hulk, right? Well, not supernatural, but like enhanced world lore. Which I hope we get a season 2, because I want more of that.
I mean, they had a light elf in there that was pretending to be
yeah.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Megan Thee Stallion!
I love how they're like, so
shows.
you truly believed that Megan Thee Stallion, the celebrity, was texting you?
That actor was so good at being such an absolute douche. I loved it. God, the Megan Thee Stallion. I also like the episode with, what was his name? Immortal?
Oh, the
Mr. Immortal?
Mr. Immortal, I think his name is.
Yeah, I loved that episode. It was so funny to me of just
and all his spouses. What if it was a man?
His one gay spouse that we'll allow to like allude to, and it's like, all right, I guess MCU. I guess you threw one in there. MCU's first gay. Oh man. Bonnie's apparently just got her magic back now.
How Bonnie got her groove back.
Now, that would have been fun, is having Angela Bassett show up in this show and be related to her.
Marie Laveau.
In a mason jar. That's a line that has stuck with me from AHS Coven because I loved how she said it. When Cordelia goes to her for fertility problems.
Yes.
And she's like, you need to bring your husband's baby-making juice.
She said baby gravy.
In a mason jar. It's baby gravy, that's what she says. Insane thing to call sperm. But anyway.
Also, I was like, a mason jar? How long is that going to take to fill?
How's it going to keep, babe? Do we have preservation magic? Maybe. Cordelia's supposed to be fairly accomplished, so maybe she did that. Then she's like, I ain't going to help you. You're my worst enemy's daughter, which it's like, Marie... You're doing too much. Come on now. What's Cordelia ever done to you? Enough about American Horror Story.
I can understand why Whitmore is filled with gossip.
You know?
'Cause from the outside, this looks insane.
From the outside, always looking in. You know? Did you hear Dear Evan Hansen is playing in the Artscape Theatre here? That's coming up in like a week or two. No? Okay,
I didn't know when exactly it was coming. I knew that they were having auditions for it last year.
Oh.
I only found out about them way later on. So I was like,
you could have
too
been
late for
Evan
me.
Hansen? Oh no! You could have been Dear Evan Hansen.
Maybe when I'm 30, like what's his name was when they did the movie.
You're gonna hit 30 and all you need now is an uncle in the biz who's producing the play, and
You
then we
know?
can lock you in.
Nepotism for
That's
the win.
crazy. Honestly. But yeah, it's playing on the 15th.
Mayhaps I'll go see it. Is this the season that's the end of childhood forever? We no longer have grown-ups to take care of us?
It is time to put away childish things, as whichever female author from the 18th century said that. I can't remember. It's either Jane Prentice. No, that's a Magnus Archives character. Jane Eyre. No, that's a book. No, that's a writer. What's happening? What?
Jane Eyre is a fictional character, I believe, from a book.
Right. Emily Bronte is one. Who's the other one? Jane Austen.
There we go.
Jesus Christ. I have to go. I don't think I can be seen in public ever again.
Spin-off episode ends. Email us at animalattackpod@gmail.com. Tweet us at animattackpod. That's at ANIM attackpod. Cheers.